Welcome to the Tom Matt Show. You are walking through the front door of the refirement zone. And now, your host, Tom Matt.
Welcome everyone to this week's episode of Tom Matt Show. Thank you so much for joining us across whatever you're hearing us on, either the internet or on a radio stream or on the radio broadcast or on the podcast or on the YouTube stream, whatever. Thank you. LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. We're all over the place. Thank you so much for joining us this week, everybody. Last week, Mitch Anderson was here. That show did really well. I mean, Mitch is our producer. He comes on about once a year talking about his favorite shows. He picked 4 episodes that were recent. Number 1 was Danielle Radin and the narcissist show that we did. That was very interesting. If you want to ever understand more about that topic, that's an excellent show to go to. But Mitch is excellent, and we had a lot of good reviews for that one. And I hope you get a chance to check that out. You know, we have all of our shows are on our website, tommattshow.com. Today, I'm bringing somebody out of the bullpen that I haven't talked to in about 7 years. And she is a rock star. And I'm telling you, men and women and men, you need to listen to this lady because she has done it. She's doing it. She's done it. She's going to continue to do it because she is Wendy Burkhardt, and she is a total badass. I mean, I could go through her bio, but the interesting thing, and I put this on, I was going to be on the recap as well, everybody. I'm going to go through the couple of what the audience should know. This is from Wendy. She builds things. We're going to talk about her whole career here in a second here, but her bio is going to be a little different than the normal bio that I do with people. She builds things. She's reinvented herself like multiple times. She is the queen of refirement. I mean, before I even knew about refirement, before we even created the concept, I think I had Wendy in the back of my head because she's like the lady. And when we first met, we were talking about a company that she was building out. The third one she's values driven. And she doesn't believe success is one size fits all. And that's really interesting. That's a really interesting topic. I don't need to go any further with that. I'll let Wendy talk about herself, her family, all that. And This Is Your Life. I want to welcome back to the radio program. 7 years later, we pull them back because we want the rock stars. Calling this one The Visionary. My guest today is Wendy Burkhardt. Welcome back, girl.
Thank you, my friend. So great to be here.
So good to see you, too. It's like, when we did interviews before, everybody, when Wendy was on before, it was strictly radio and we never had video. And so we really never got a chance to see each other much. I mean, not in the recording wise, but it's different with this situation. How are you?
I am fabulous. Since I saw you last, I've moved about 6 times. So how about that?
So where are you? Where are you now?
I have now landed in Florida. So I'm in Northeast Florida in the Jacksonville area. That came as a surprise to all of us. That was not part of the plan, but as it turns out, my mother, you'll remember, you and I had a connection with Michigan because I was born there and my mom's from there. She came down to Florida about 4 years ago, and we could not convince her to come to Colorado and be in the snow. She said, no. Actually, there was a word in front of no. And so my husband said, well, maybe we should go there. And by the way, they have no state income tax, so it seems like a good deal. So, here we are.
There you go. That's how life is, though, Wendy. And that's the whole thing about you being the visionary and talking to people about life and growth and never setting like these really small lanes and setting these short horizons and things. It's like, think big. Go for it. Just think about these. And people get so caught up in the minutia, but we'll talk about the minutia here throughout the show. Talk about your family. Get everybody caught up on you and, your progress with the businesses that you've been involved with. You can talk about the previous ones. You can talk about the current ones, whatever you want. We're going to go through the whole list today, but talk about you. Go right ahead, please.
Oh, yeah. Well, gosh, it seems like forever since we last talked. I think last time we talked, I was still with Silver Nest, which is, of course, how we connected to begin with. We ended up selling Silver Nest on March 16th of 2020, which was a pivotal day in the world, of course, and also happened to be my birthday. And for the record, I also had COVID at the same time. So it was a very interesting day in more ways than one. Gosh, and since then I've gone on and, as I shared, moved. We had been in Boulder, went to Denver, had to relocate during the pandemic out to San Diego, and came back to Denver in 22, and then of course moved here a year and a half ago. So it's been busy. In fact, at the last move, I said, I'm not unpacking anything else until I tried to keep giving away everything that I possibly could because I just didn't want any more boxes. And then on the last journey, until we got into this house, which we finalized on a year ago, I said, I'm not unpacking anything else until I know I'm staying there for a minute. So we put everything into storage and lived in a fully furnished rental, which I kind of decided I might be able to do for the rest of my life. I kind of like that. But, we're good. We're good. We're, surprisingly, we miss the mountains a heck of a lot from Colorado, but we sure like being 10 minutes away from the beach and, all the things. So I keep thinking I must be in that next chapter because I do actually enjoy being in Florida.
The next chapter is whatever it is. I mean, we can set these boundaries, we can set these limitations on ourselves, and it's all arbitrary. I mean, it's like, why? And so our guest today, everybody, is Wendy Burkhardt. Wendy Burkhardt is a graduate of Louisiana State University, LSU, and has a international trade and finance degree, completed executive education at Northwestern, Kellogg School of Graduate Management. So she got a little bit of Big Ten in her, and she's done a lot in her life and created a lot of value. I remember when one of the interviews I asked you with the Silver Nest thing, I said, well, when you build these companies, do you build them? Because I didn't know. I was just kind of a nothing on this business stuff. But it's like, do you build these companies to keep them for yourself and just let them grow and stay with them? Because that's kind of like what we've done with our stuff. But you said you paused. You won't remember this because it's been 7 years. But you paused and I said, are you going to sell your company? And you said, well, yeah. And that was the plan. I mean, that's what you do. You build things to. So talk about that process a little bit. We've got a couple minutes before we go to break here. But that process that you've developed in your life of building things, seeing things, being the visionary, how does the process start?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's such a great question. And it's funny, I do a lot of mentoring I mentor and consult with a lot of early stage companies. One of the first things that I always ask them is, who do you want to be in 5 years? And usually it's in the context of talking about capital and whether or not they want to raise capital. So when you asked me that question, there was a very definitive yes in that answer. We knew what success was going to be in that model because we also had elected to take on venture capital. We did that to specifically grow and scale at the rate that we wanted to. And we knew that within that model, there was some type of anticipated exit, both for us and for the investors that had come on board. But that's not always the model, right? So I think I just met with some folks 2 weeks ago who had come to me and they were contemplating, they've got a really cool new idea. They were trying to decide how to grow and expand the concept. They were contemplating whether or not they needed to take on capital. And so I went through the exercise that I just described to you and said, let's talk about a 5 and 10 year vision of where you want to be. Because for me, when I'm looking at new things or I'm getting involved in new things, there's the version of what this is today, right? But the version of what this is today and what you decide to do is very directly related to what you want it to be in 5 to 10 years. And that's why I say also success is not a one size fits all, right? Some people may say, hey, I want to build this thing and hold it for 20 years, right? I want to have a legacy company that I can give to my kids, right? I want to have a lifestyle business. I want to have a side revenue hustle.
There you go. It's all about side action. I'm sorry to cut you off here. We got to go to break here in just a second. But no, that's a good setup because that's what we're going to talk about, everybody. How do you build the business? How do you see the vision? What are you going to do? Are you going to take it? Are you going to keep it for the family? Do you want to pass it on? Because that's been the generational thing that, a lot of companies have done. Or do you want to set it up to grow and peel it and be done with it? I don't know. Everybody's different. We're going to talk about all these specifics with the lady that knows. She is the visionary, and she's Wendy Burkhardt, and she's my friend, and she has been on in a long time, and I'm so glad she's back. You're listening to The Tom Matt Show.
Welcome to The Tom Matt Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to The Tom Matt Show. Thank you, Sandy, for bringing us back. Mitch, all your production work. Vanessa, cutting up and editing all of our video stuff. It's so great to have all of you on our staff and helping us get better and bigger and doing the thing. Wendy Burkhardt's our guest today, everybody. The Visionary, we're calling this one. This segment sponsored by my brother from another mother, Brock Fletcher, selling team of Keller Williams Realty. You guys know the long story? Let me give you the short story, all right? Brock gave me the advice to sell Big House Holt when Wendy Burkhardt, our guest, during her interview, when we interviewed her from that house, and he was the one who told us our forever home needed to go. Okay? Bad news to us because we thought we'd be there forever. That's the thing about being, and that tying it into the Visionary show today. Things change. That's why you need to have somebody you can trust, like we did with Brock Fletcher, because he got the number with Big House Holt. He sold it. He helped us get Little House Lansing, thanks to Mike Dedman, one of his agents. It was a scramble, but we got it handled, and it was all good. Please call Brock today, 517. This is the office number, everybody, 517-853-6408. His cell phone number, and this is what he actually prefers, is 517-303-3262. You can go online to kwsellingteam.com, kwsellingteam.com. Sell your home without hassles, with Brock, with Mike, with the team. We're going to hear some new things coming from Brock because he is, not only is he picking up some pace with sponsoring us and helping us with some financial stuff, but he believes in us so much, he wanted to help us, and he wants to bring some of his other agents in and share some of the young people that he's training up to help in these businesses and help with selling your home. So again, the number you want to reach out to Brock and text him, leave him a voicemail, whatever, 517-303-3262. Tell him you heard it from Tommy. That's how they refer to me. It's a radio thing. So go for it, okay? Wendy Burkhardt's our guest today. Wendy's awesome. Wendy's been on the show a long time ago, so we've known each other a long time, but you lose track of people. But I know she's a successful, super successful woman, visionary, calling this one the Visionary, and she is a visionary, and that's why I came up with that title. So she sent me these unbelievable great bullets for today's episode, and I'm gonna riff on these things here and just throw them to her and let her talk. Wendy, your first thing was, what is success? And I think that's a very good, very, very good question, because people, we wander, and I always wanted to sell the radio show and do this. To be successful, I had to sell the radio show. And then I realized that what we're doing intrinsically is so much better and so much bigger than just dollars, that it's and then you lose the stress. It's well, what's the purpose of what we're doing here? And so what is success?
Well, I think you and I were talking about this right before the show, right? And we jokingly said, are you having fun? Because to me, success and fun should be related to one another. That doesn't always get to happen, but I think I'm at the age where that becomes one of my core qualifiers, right? Am I having a good time? And
so you're doing a radio program, right?
Right. Yeah. And as you say, as you talk about potentially selling the show, all that was going through my head was, well, what in the heck would you be doing then? Because you're Tom Matt. What would you do? Right. But
I'd still host the show, because I'd work for you, and we'd host the show and we'd make it better, and we'd be nationally syndicated instead of just regionally syndicated. But that's another thing. We're working on that syndication. You want to
make some tacos at the taco stand, right? That's all I'm talking about. As long as you can make a good taco, my friend.
I like it. Let's make some tacos. So are you having?
I think success is just, it's sort of what we were saying right before break. Success is personal, right? And my definition of success is not your definition of success. I think we tend to hear a lot of news stories, and there's a lot of focus and amplification about huge success stories. And then we hear that and then automatically incorporate that and try to determine if we should be benchmarking our success against what we hear out there. Which, I always say, look, what you hear about the success of an IPO or the success of the sale of a company, you have to really decide that that's something that you want, because it's a heck of a lot of work. It's really hard. It takes much longer. You don't hear all the stuff that goes in underneath all of that, right?
Yeah.
And again, that may not be what you're looking for. So I think success is related to the type of experience that you want to have. And I will often say it's about the people that I get to hang out with, right? So I've learned through multiple experiences that success for me is about the team that I get to be with, right? And the team that I get to help grow. I want to hang out with people that are a lot smarter than me, that teach me some things, right? That I can have fun with in the journey and laugh with, and cry with when it gets tough.
You know who one of the biggest entrepreneurs in the country, in our history of this country, is said the same exact thing. Jack Welch. Jack Welch, he's the kingpin. He's General Electric. He's Jack Welch. I mean, he said the same thing. When he blew up a lab when he was a young laboratory guy, a little young scientist, and his boss, and he thought he was going to get fired. His boss didn't fire him because he said, don't do it again and keep learning and keep learning. And that was the whole thing. Yeah, I want to mention something about what you said about success and overnight success, because I've always said that I want to be a 15-year overnight success. You know what I mean? Because you come out of nowhere and people are like, hey, this overnight success, but they don't know all of what you just said, all of the foundational work that's been going on forever, right?
Forever, right? So, I mean, if we look at the Facebooks and the Airbnbs and the ones that are really showcased, right? I mean, those companies were around for 10 plus years before they really hit the significant milestones, right, that we hear about in the media.
Right.
So there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that goes into it. And that's true for the company that is going to be a $2 million company, right? And is happy sort of being at that mark. There's just a lot of work that goes into these things that doesn't get exposed, and we don't get to understand. We don't get to be in the weeds and the details. And so, that's why I say choose who you hang out with. Most importantly, choose who you hang out with and make sure they're aligned, right? Make sure that you've got folks aligned around what you want to be, how you want to get there, how you work together, and what your styles look like. Make sure that you've got the right talent on the bench. And I think I've learned, I guess maybe one of the painful lessons that I've learned is take your time hiring to make sure that you get the right people alongside of you. And if they're not going to be the right people, you got to make the hard decisions and move them out quickly, right?
Right,
because otherwise it drags you down and it takes too much time to get where you're going. I'm
gonna stop you right there because we're gonna come to break here. Wendy Burkhardt's our guest. Let me reset everything here, everybody. Wendy Burkhardt's our guest. She's the visionary. She has built multiple companies, multi-million-dollar companies, and she's started them, the middle of the road, finished them, sold them, moved on, done other things. She's been very active in technology. The question I want to hit with when we come back, Wendy, is the instantaneous gratification and the mentoring, and how people in our younger generations are so conditioned for this quick response that they get disappointed when they don't get the quick response. We'll talk about that when we come back, because that works into everything in life, from weight loss to training to everything. It's not about instantaneous gratification. It's about slow incremental change. Wendy Burkhardt's our guest, the visionary. This is the Tom Matt Show.
This segment of the Tom Matt Show is brought to you in part by The Source of Light and Power by band leader Archival and broadcaster Mitch Anderson. Hear the sound that is endorsed by Odyssey headphones, linear tube audio, RME converters, and Peluso microphones at sourceoflightandpower.bandcamp.com.
Welcome to the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this week. However you're listening to us or watching us or whatever you're doing, thank you. I appreciate that very much. Thank you, Sandy, for bringing us back, and Mitch and everybody for doing what they do. Again, I want to thank Brock Fletcher for sponsoring and stepping up his sponsorship of the radio program, helping us with stuff. Brock helped us with Big Household. I told you about that in the previous segment. He's been our reality real estate expert for years now. He pitched me when he wanted to come onto the show. He's like, I want to be part of your show, because he heard the show up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And I was unaware that the Michigan Talk Network was even, there's stations I don't even know are carrying the show that It happens. And it's just wonderful to have people like him because you want to, real estate, finance, so important. Most agents start marketing with them when you list with them. That's not how Brock rolls. Brock is out there. He's proactive. That's one thing about I hate reactive people. I'm going to retract that. I don't like reactive people. I like people more that are proactive. I like to be proactive because I think that people that are reactive don't do good planning. And Brock is all about planning. He's all about setting you up for success. That's why you want to call him. Please do. Here's that number again, 517-303-3262. Online, kwsellingteam.com, kwsellingteam.com. Give him a shout. Give him a text. Tell him you heard it from Tommy. It helps us. It helps him understand that he's getting his bang for his buck with his marketing dollars. And that's it. I mean, we're all helping each other get better. That's why my guest today, Wendy Burkhardt, is here. She's the same way. She's about helping people get better, mentoring, teaching, and educating people. The visionary, Wendy Burkhardt's with us. All right, before we get to the next point of your very good list here, girly, I want to ask you about the when you mentor people in the problem with instantaneous gratification that is so common nowadays. Do you run into that a lot where people get really disappointed and they think, if they don't get success in 6 months or a year, 2 years, that they throw in the towel? Have you seen that a lot?
Oh my goodness, so significantly, particularly in the role that I'm in right now. I work as a partner with a private equity firm, and we see a significant amount of deals that come our way from companies that are early stage, that have started early stage, that are unfortunately not going the distance, right, with their capital providers, and they're not able to kind of extend. And it's tough because there's so many good companies out there, and particularly so many great technology companies out there right now that if they had been given a little longer runway and a little more time, things probably could end up differently. But I think to your point, we are so conditioned to expect things to happen really rapid fire. I remember back when we had Silver Nest, I used to say to myself, because we were on the venture path and we were working to scale this business, I used to think to myself, this is so crazy. We're expected to be $100 million in revenue in 5 years. Like, what happened to, when did it become a bad thing to be a $50 million company in like 8 years or 10 years, right? Like, when did that become a bad thing? So, we're living in this instantaneous culture. I'm afraid, my friend, that the emergence of AI is not going to do us any favors there. That's probably a different conversation for a different day. But I think AI has even further accelerated what we're able to do at a much faster pace. And I think we're going to start to feel the impact from that as well. But really, one of the biggest keys to success is patience. And I think you said something really powerful, coming in from the break about planning. And planning is really critical, right? And if we try to rush things, we don't always have time to see what we need to see or to plan to account for all of the different situations and conditions and things that may happen. And inevitably, there will be many, many things that happen that we can't account for.
Poor planning is no excuse for being reactive. I mean, I've always said that to people, and it's like, listen, if it comes to your weight loss, if it comes to your training, if it comes to building your business, you need to be patient. And I like what you said, patience is the key to success. It absolutely is. I had a conversation with a student today. He just graduated. He's a good friend, and I'll be losing him in the end of July. He's moving to somewhere, got his job, 4.0 kid. And he was talking about his internship. We were chatting for a bit in the weight room, and he said that his internship is encouraging him to use AI, that they are encouraging these interns, these guys, he's 21 years old, to use the AI, because he's got some Excel stuff, and he's not an Excel guy. So they're saying, well, use AI. And we were talking about it, and he's training himself. I said, well, that's what I did with my video stuff. I went to YouTube and I trained myself for a year in how to edit, how to shoot video, how to do all this stuff. And so, yeah, and the other thing too, Wendy, that is kind of almost hilarious to me. It's like people get all uptight about this AI stuff and virtual reality and all. It's like we've had AI behind the scenes for years, for a long time. It just hasn't been out there in front of everybody. And so that's it. Okay, so let's go. Let's go back to now. Let's go to the next point that I want to, because it's going to take some time on this one, because I changed your list just a tiny bit. Number 2, because the first one was what is success, everybody, and we again. All these notes will be in the recap, so go check it out if you're picking us up at the late minute. When do you know it's time to evolve? For you, and we can stretch this through because we got a couple minutes before we go to break here, but we'll start the thread. When did you know? And then when, we'll take it in 2 parts. When did Wendy know she needed to shift around with your stuff and then with the businesses and when you guide people? So that's a 2-part question. Let's do the first part. For Wendy herself, give me a short answer on that one. We got 2 minutes to go, and then we'll come back and we'll finish the thread.
Well, I always know it's probably time to change when I'm getting bored. Pretty simple, right?
Yep.
Pretty simple. I am by nature somebody who really likes change. I thrive in change, and I like to learn. And so if I get to a point where things feel really terribly repetitive, I'm wildly bored, and I'm not getting challenged, it's time.
Has that happened a lot for you in your career throughout your life? I mean, with school and as you're growing up, because we're both, growing older adults, but for these young people that are coming up, they're kind of looking at it like, well, this lady's really successful, but she probably had it handed to her. It was probably super easy for her. So does that make any sense to you? Did that happen?
Yeah, no. Definitely was not easy, but I will attribute the experiences that I've had to being curious, right? And a desire to learn. And so I think I've been exposed to a lot of really cool opportunities that popped up because I was curious, and I was willing to lean into those and explore them and try some new things. And I think we can talk a little bit further about this maybe in the next segment, but for all intents and purposes, what I'm doing now, I'm not theoretically qualified to do. So, it was just about leaning into it and deciding that it was something that I wanted to try and to learn and to see what might present.
I know you read Sheryl Sandberg's book, Leaning In. I know you did, because you're using that term.
100 years ago,
yeah.
Tom, 100 years ago.
I read that book 100 years ago too. And when I did radio, I was saying to guys, men, you need to read this book. This book is sort of, I know it's written by a woman. It's sort of like feminine, but it's not. It's just a really good business book, and leaning in to something that you're qualified for, unqualified for. Do you have the guts? Do you have the desire? And can you be creative enough? And I'm going to close with this. I believe that AI is a curiosity killer, and that it really is going to hurt creativity. It could help in certain aspects, but personally, and we can talk about this too, we need to read books. We need to do this research ourselves, and that's how you learn. We come back with Wendy Burkhardt's our guest, the visionary. We'll talk about these tools, because they're just tools. You're listening to The Tom Matt Show.
Thank you again to Brock Fletcher, real estate agent at the selling team with Keller Williams Realty. For more information on services provided by Brock, please call his personal cell phone at 517-303-3262 or by emailing Brock at kwsellingteam.com. This is The Tom Matt Show.
Welcome to The Tom Matt Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to The Tom Matt Show. Thank you so much for joining us this weekend or whenever you're listening to the podcast. I mean, could be Friday, could be Tuesday, could be midnight. Who knows? But I'm so thrilled that we can provide our show and our content to you whenever you want it. Please leave us a comment on YouTube. We're getting a lot of comments on YouTube for our episodes, and it really helps with that whole algorithm thing. That magic thing called the algorithm that helps feed into the whole big beast. So if you like what you're hearing, if you don't like what you're hearing, leave us a comment, please. I mean, check it out. There's the small clip, the excerpt. There's the big clip, and then there's just the audio. There's different ways of doing this thing. You guys know how we do this. If you're new to the program, go to tommattshow.com and you can find all kinds of good stuff there. That website is very, very, very detailed. It's been, 14 years in the making, so yeah, it better be detailed. Wendy Burkhardt's our guest today. She's calling this one the Visionary. Wendy is a long-term friend from way back in the day, from the Silvernest days, when one of the companies that she built out a long time ago. And she's now partner and chief growth officer with Edited Capital. Wendy, would you like to plug yourself or connections or anything like that? Speaking engagements, go right ahead. If you got anything you want to share with people, how they want to get a hold of you, being a guest. I just mentioned I'm definitely going to introduce you to Debbie Heiser, our psychologist friend. She's loved networking with people. How would you like people to connect with you?
I would love to hear from people just on my email. It's Wendy Burkhardt, all one word, WENDI BURKHARDT @gmail.com. I love hearing from founders, entrepreneurs, business people, particularly underrepresented founders, folks that are looking for support, who have new concepts, who are trying to figure out how to grow their businesses. I get a lot of enjoyment out of working with folks and supporting those folks. I love speaking to different groups that can benefit from the experience that I've had, particularly as a two-time founder, female founder in particular. So I'd love to hear from folks on any of those items.
You have been an unbelievable visionary and creator. And again, we're talking about, the AI and how AI may kill creativity. Do you think that I'm onto something with that? Do you believe that the AI could be a creativity kind of, holding us back, some kind of dam of some type for information? Do you believe that?
I think we don't know yet. So I had the pleasure of, for those of you who are just data curious nerds out there like me, you can read Mary Meeker's latest report on AI, which is fascinating because it gives her predictions of what she thinks might be happening in the course of the next 10 years.
What did she predict?
I think, she says it's going to have a drastic impact on everything that we're doing in the next 10 years. And I have no doubt that there is going to be an impact because, if you think about technology where we are today versus where we were when the internet launched, right, which there's a lot of comparison to that. The big difference today is that we're all walking around with computers in our hand, every single one of us in some form, right? So we're using AI. To your earlier point, we're using it today. Yep. We don't even know we're using it. It's already there. But in relationship to creativity, I think it's going to have a fundamental change on certain aspects of creativity. However, I don't know about the curiosity piece. Like I find personally, and this is just a personal experience, that I'm very curious about it. I like testing it and playing around with it right now. I did it this morning. I wanted to see what kind of results it would give me for a particular query. I think it's going to evolve. And I think right now, ultimately it will be an ingredient in a bigger solution design, much like, having a website is an ingredient, right? Or having a cell phone is an ingredient. And I think we just don't know what all the use cases out there will be just yet. And I'm very curious about that.
The potentials, we have another segment or episode, category on the show, Wendy. Wendy Burkhardt's our guest today, everybody, calling this one the Visionary. I call it performance living. And I have a physician, a pediatric neurosurgeon, good friend of mine who is out in Scottsdale, and we talk about tech. And in the medical, now when I talk about creativity and curiosity, I think that kind of may stun it, may help assist it. We'll see about that. But there's absolutely huge positives in healthcare and monitoring and sifting through information. And it's going to make massive differences with like DNA sequencing and knowing what we can happen in our bodies. So on the healthcare, when you have massive amounts of data that we got to crunch, and the human body is just a big database. I mean, everybody's database is different as your human body. So that part of the whole AI situation that's coming, I'm grooving. I mean, we were talking about me getting ready to have, some surgery, getting my knees done. a lot of that knee replacement stuff now done is all robotic. I mean, it's mostly robotic. They program the stuff in. I'm grooving on. I'm telling you, it's like, turn the computer loose. Let's go, baby. I'm cool with that. So there are aspects, as you were saying, and again, this gets into our next point. And you had an explanation before I do the question. It was like, don't be afraid to try something new. If you're stuck, what to do? And so again, the AI thing, I just tried ChatGPT with a document that I was working on, and I put it in just for the heck of it, just to try it, just like you're saying, experimenting with it. I want to be knowledgeable about it. I may not use it much. The thing I didn't like about it for me, Wendy, was for this document, it made a really nice document, except it's completely stripped out my voice. I mean, and I'm being an author, me, a talker. It's like, where's my voice? And so that was the one thing that was interesting. Okay, so let's go to this point here. If you're stuck, what are you going to do? I mean, because I just gave sort of the answer, but don't be afraid to try that new thing. Don't be afraid to get out there and experiment. Don't be afraid to take that class. How many classes have you taken in your life?
Oh my goodness. I could not even tell you.
There you go.
A lot.
There you go.
A lot. Right. And that's just scratching the surface. Yeah.
Right.
You know, right. I think it's interesting too, because, you know, as I was alluding to, what I'm doing right now is not anything that I'm technically qualified for. And I get the privilege of hearing that from other folks sort of within this industry, right? So if you think about the path of folks that are in private equity, they are conventional bankers. They came out of investment banking. They use a lot of terminology that's very sophisticated that I didn't understand a word of. And so the fact that I actually am sitting on the side of private equity and working at Edit, and by the way, we are an all-female led firm, which is also pretty unusual and cool. You know, if somebody would have told me 10 years ago that, hey, you might have the opportunity to go into private equity, I would have told you were crazy, right? I don't have a fancy Ivy League degree. I don't have the banking credentials to do supposedly what I would have thought was required. But I was given a chance to jump in, try some things out, play around with some things. And I've learned a lot. I've been drinking from the fire hose a lot. But you know what? I think if you are somebody, again, who's curious and you like to learn, I guess maybe right or wrong, I've always believed that I can learn just about anything if you put it in front of me. Maybe not how to do hardcore, like, you know, biotech engineering. I probably can't do any of those things. But
say you're astute enough to,
with the right mentors, the right teaching, the right opportunity to learn, there's just a lot of cool things to explore.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I mean, you find that if you attempt these things, everybody, if you try these new things, like I'm doing with my video stuff, I'm good enough at it to know that I can do it, but there's so many people out there that are really, really good at it, and they're so fast. And so if you put the right people in the right places to be successful, to help you, empowering others, picking their skills and saying, hey, you got a good skill set here. Let's try this. I mean, don't get stuck, because when you get stuck, that's when fear steps in. Wendy, we got one more segment to go here, and I want to set this thing up. This is a big one, everybody. We'll talk about this when we come back, but how do you achieve the next thing? How do you achieve that success in the retirement zone? How do you get there? Give me a 30-second quick snapshot on that. Why do people want to come back to the next segment to hear your how?
I say look for the things that other people aren't looking for.
There you go. I got some thoughts on this as well. But you know what? There's always opportunity out there. And that's the thing about being in our society, in capitalism. You are rewarded for hard work. You are rewarded for grinding. And I have this saying on my wall in the gym downstairs: grinders grind and whiners whine. And that's the truth. And that's all there is to it. If you're ready to make the move, if you're ready to call Wendy and see about getting maybe some growth capital, what the heck? Give it a shot. Don't be afraid to reach out. She gave you your email. I'll put that. As a matter of fact, everybody, I promise you, I will put Wendy's email in the recap, because if you don't believe in your own gig, no one else will. You're listening to The Tom Matt Show.
More information on the Tom Matt RFZ mentality, please visit our brand new website at www.tommattshow.com. Subscribe to our podcast via your favorite podcast platform. Visit our brand new YouTube channel for consistently motivating messaging. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome to the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. You really need to go look at our YouTube clips, everybody, for the full show, because we record the whole in between segments, the breaks, and I'm gonna forewarn you, maybe not on this episode, but on some of my other episodes, Tom gets a little salty sometimes. All right, you guys, anybody that knows me or has ever been coached by me or has been worked out by me knows that Tom gets a little salty, but I mean it in a very nice way. Okay. So if you want to check out the segments in between, it's like one of our favorite TV shows is The Five on Fox. Sandy and I love that show. And it's like, why don't they show the between the scenes stuff? That's better than the show. And it's like, so if you want the behind the scenes of the Tom Matt Show, go to YouTube, click on the whole show, and whammo, you'll see it in there. All right, Wendy Burkhardt's our guest today. Wendy was with me back in 2018. It's been a minute, but she's been out there creating, being a visionary, doing her thing. And we're to her fourth point where, how do you achieve success? We've been talking about success, being a visionary. How do you get people off of maybe they're stuck, maybe they can get going, maybe they're not, maybe they're thinking about it, maybe you're just like hemming and hawing, maybe you're getting close to the retirement zone and you're wondering, what am I going to do next? It's like, always have a plan for the next thing. We talked about plans earlier, and what Wendy said is absolutely essential. Patience is the key to success. You must have a plan. I don't care how old you are. If you're 25 or if you're 65, you need a plan. What are you going to be doing in the next 2, 3, 5, 10 years? We'll talk about that. How do you achieve it there, Ms. Burkhardt? What do you think about this stuff? Go right ahead.
I think before the break, we were just talking about, where do you jump in, or what types of things do you look for? And I think, we're out in the world every day and having, multiple experiences every day. And inevitably, we're likely to run into things that, we recognize as a problem that doesn't have a solution. Right? How many times are you out doing something and you're like, why doesn't this have X? Or why doesn't somebody make X? Or why do I still have to do it this way? And, I would say where the work that I'm doing right now was born out of that, which was actually informed by the work that I did at Silvernest. So, having been a tech entrepreneur and having raised a bunch of capital, in that ecosystem, you start to recognize that there's really only 5% of the companies that are ever going to make it through the entire venture capital ecosystem. What happens to everybody else? You have a whole bunch of technology companies out there that got money that aren't going to continue on that journey. Like, does all that technology just go up in smoke and go away, right? And so we recognized, the founders of our firm, we all recognized that, wow, there's a whole segment, there's a whole opportunity out there that's being completely overlooked every day, that isn't getting any more money, that's just going to evaporate, needs a second chance. Like, why can't we go after it? Why can't we go build something for it, right? Silvernest was a lot like that, right? Some of it was born out of the fact that I lost my father. My mom was living on her own. She had a friend move in with her. You start to realize, like, wow, there's all this extra bedroom space. People have all this extra space in their home. They're feeling kind of lonely. They might need a little extra cash. Why can't we put them together and create roommates, right, over the age of 55? So none of this is rocket science. It's really just the byproduct of living in an experience every day and realizing that there's an opportunity, and saying, wow, like, could we design a solution that would work for this? And I think that to me is where I find my greatest inspiration. It's in the day-to-day things that I'm living, that I see, where I can figure out, like, hey, could somebody build this? Oh, wait, well, if they're not going to build it, then maybe I should build it.
Right.
Maybe I should take a chance.
Give it a shot. And this leads into what I've developed, everybody, for goal setting and achieving. I mean, really dovetails nicely into what Wendy's point was. How do we achieve it? I call it the prime objective. And here's how it works, Wendy. We have a conversation, me and you or whomever, and you tell me your medium to short-term goal, within a year. What do you want to do? Because that's the key as a trainer. I just need to know, what do you want to do? What are you trying to accomplish? I mean, tell me your story. So you get the story and you kind of pick through it and you say, okay, and I just take what I hear and I say, okay, the prime is all about three things, okay? The three key things that you decide are important to reaching that goal. Okay, so we got that short to medium term goal. And it's like, in our conversation, we're going to say, hey, okay, give me the three things that you think are really important to this. Is it a relationship? Is it money? What is it? I mean, is it funding? Is it blah, 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 blah? We get those three things defined. That's it. Cut out all the other clutter and get those three things dialed in. Do not deviate. Stay within your program. Accomplish the three things. Here's what happens. I've seen this with college students a lot, Wendy. They have these big plans. They're doing these classes. And then they get a relationship in college, which I think is sometimes dubious, to say the least. And it's like, does that fit your prime for what you're doing right now? If it does, great. If it does not, then you might want to reconsider what you're doing. Do you like my program? Do you think that makes sense? I mean, it's just basically simplifying everything down to 3 points, okay? That's how I work. It's like simple. Do you like that?
I absolutely love it. It reminds me of, in the entrepreneurial ecosystem, there's a framework called EOS that we use, and it's very similar for the companies that I've worked with or that we work with. It does exactly what you're talking about. It simplifies what you're going to focus on a quarterly basis, and it takes it down. In their terminology, they call it rocks, but you get to only pick those rocks once each quarter, right? And then everything that you do is about staying in lane to stay focused on achieving those goals / those rocks. So very, very similar. I love that framework. I love that approach.
It works. I mean, I've had it happen with people. Now, this was not a business situation. These were personal performance things, drinking issues, relationship issues, job issues. I have a young man that I'm working with who came to me. He wanted me to train him, and I am. But we had our meeting, and it became very apparent to me that this really strong young man didn't really need a trainer. He needed a coach to kind of help him get through all of the minutia that's happening in his life financially. He wasn't getting to sleep. His eating was completely destroyed. I mean, and so everything works together against him. And it's like, well, before we get to here, we need to get your finances squared away. We need to get your auto problem squared away. And we need to get your living situation squared away. Those three things, you got to get money, food, sleep. Boom. And got this kid a job, helped him get a job, and away you go. It's until you talk to these people that you find out. We got about 3 minutes to go before we wrap this thing. And I wanted to ask you a little bit about edited capital and then a takeaway. So could you combine those two together for me, Wendy, and just talk a little bit about edited capital and promote them, and then maybe lead into your takeaway? Please go right ahead.
Yeah, well, Edited Capital, like I was sharing, is we're a 5-year-old early stage private equity firm. We buy early stage venture technology companies that are not going to move down that path. We take them and try to get them stable, give them a second chance, and then get them back out in market. So that's what we do today. It's very exciting, very rewarding. And I think it ties into the takeaway, at least for me, because one of the core drivers for me is results, right? So I am a values-driven, results-oriented person. For me, success and work are really about, does this represent what I value? Does it represent what I believe in? And at the end of the day, do I get to feel good about the results that I'm delivering? Does it have impact? Am I helping somebody else? Yes, is it successful financially? All the things, right? But it, first and foremost, is really organized around my values and the results that we get at the end.
Wendy Burkhardt's amazing. I mean, I'm looking at an old bio here that I had, and I want to just throw a couple of things out here because she was recognized as outstanding women in business and named to the Entrepreneur 360 list by Entrepreneur Magazine. I don't even know how old this is. I mean, it might be from before. Wendy has appeared on the Today Show, New York Times, NPR, CNBC, The Tom Matt Show, The Boomers Rock Show, and been invited to keynote in some of the industry's largest stages. You want to find Wendy. Wendy, how hard is it for people to raise capital? We got a minute to go before we're going to if a good venture capital, it doesn't have to be a primarily female company, right? I mean, anybody can get a hold of you guys, but is there money?
Well, we have a very particular model. So I will say that our model is not for everybody, but raising capital is really all dependent upon your model, right? And so the first question is, what are you trying to do? And then you decide what kind of capital you need. Not all capital is all one size.
And here's the tip, everybody, and we'll wrap this thing. That point that Wendy just gave you, call her, email her, let her know, check in with her. You never know. Don't be afraid to make the ask. Don't be afraid to make the ask. Don't be afraid to make the ask. If our show fits your business or group's mission, we want to be a service to you through our guests, like a Wendy Burkhardt. Get a hold of them. Edited Capital. I'll put the email in the recap. Always remember, before you can share love with others, you must love yourself first. Close the show. For every show we've done, we'll be starting season 15 here very soon. I want to thank Wendy Burkhardt for being with us. Sandy, Brock Fletcher, Craig Stiles. I'll talk to everybody next weekend. Have a great week, everybody. Go out and ignite your life. Remember, the Tom Matt Show is a production of Boomers Rock Media. We want to bring your story to life. Lastly, I want to say thank you to Mitch Anderson and Vanessa for being our production staff. Thank you so much. We are out.
The Tom Matt Show is produced by Mitch Anderson of Black Circle Studios. Original music from the Source of Light and Power by the Arc of All.